what's up? Today I am coming to y'all with a video about how to get approved for a tax credit apartment. Now, I have worked in the industry for over 5 years in tax credit. So this is not something I just looked up on the internet. I actually know what I'm talking about. And I get a lot of questions about what do I need to do for this, or how do I get approved for that, or what if I don't make enough money? So I decided to come and educate y'all a little bit. Now, this video is not going to be for everybody because, of course, everybody doesn't qualify for tax credit. So for those of you who do, and you have questions and you have concerns about how to apply for tax credit, I'm here to help you. Stay tuned. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start with the number one thing that they look for on an applicant when applying. So the very first thing that I was trained to ask when an applicant comes into the office is, how many people live in your household? Because tax credit, of course, is based off of household size. So depending on how many people live in your household, you're required to make a certain amount, if that makes sense. So I kind of have like an example here. Just one second. Okay, so basically this is what it looks like. I'm just gonna show y'all real quick. So yeah, like I said, depending on how many people are in your household, you can make over a certain amount a month and a year. Some people actually think that this hurts them. Okay, so some people actually think that this hurts them, but actually the more people that you have in your household, the more that you qualify for. So for large families, it actually helps you out. But the people in your household have to be, of course, under 18, and they can't have any income, because if they do have an income, then we have to count that income towards the total household income. So if they're over 18 and they have income, it could possibly hurt you. But if they are under 18 and they don't have an income, then it will help you. So first, you have to qualify. If you're over a certain amount, you don't qualify. Second, once we finish the application process, we run your application. First thing that we'll look for, of course, will be criminal history. So misdemeanors, sometimes you can get by with those, but it depends on what it's for. So anything that is drug related, it's an automatic denial. So if you have a misdemeanor for intent to sell, or if you even have a misdemeanor for having it on you, and you weren't intending to sell it, you still it will be an automatic denial. So for felonies, most places require them to be 25 years or older, which basically they're just saying, we don't want you here. Because how many people do you know with the felony that's 25 years or older that's applying for a tax credit property? Exactly. So that's the criminal history. Anything violence related, domestic violence, anything of that sort is gonna automatically be a denial. So the next thing that they look for on the application process would be your credit history. So the amount of charge-offs you have, evictions, anything that's on your credit report that reflects negatively, like you have a history of not paying your bills. It depends on the property, because sometimes you can get by with it and some property managers don't allow it at all. I've had people apply with the credit score as low as 400 and they still get approved. It just depends on the management company and the property manager. It's at their discretion, basically. So a lot of properties look at utilities, unpaid utilities, and things like that on your credit report. So just be aware of that. Number 4 would be rental history. When you do apply for a tax credit property, the first thing we do is rental history. So anything that comes up on your credit report as far as houses that you've lived in, apartments that you lived in, we are required to do a rental history check. So basically we send those companies a form for them to fill out. And a few sample questions are like, how long was the lease term? Were there any lease violations? How many people were in the household? What was the monthly rent? And how often were they late? So those are just a few questions that we ask. A lot of times if we're reaching out and we've sent like three forms and we haven't heard anything back, most of the time we'll just write no records found, and then we'll just finish processing the application. So if they don't respond, it's kind of a plus to you if you had a negative rental history through them. But a lot of times they do respond and they put everything on there. So if you are late more than 4 times, most of the time it's an automatic denial. But once again, it depends on the property and the manager. I know the manager that I worked under, she really didn't like more than 4 late payments for the whole lease term. So where are we at now? Okay, so we went over rental history, credit history, employment. So the next thing that we look for is employment verifications. And this just lets us know how long you've been on the job, if the income is actually stable. Because a lot of people come in with, believe it or not, fake check stubs. So we have to verify. It's almost, it feels like I was a private investigator. We have to investigate every single thing that you put on that application, because it is tax credit, and the criteria screening process is so lengthy. We really have to investigate to make sure that everything that you put on the application is the truth. So we send an employment verification to your job, and they respond with how much you make a month, when did you start, and things like that. So a lot of people ask me, well, what if I don't make enough? And most of the time, the minimum requirement is 2.5 times the rent a month. So if you are in the situation where you don't make enough, but say you receive child support, or you receive a monthly stipend or something like that, we are able to use that income towards your rent, as long as it makes up the difference and it's enough. And also we have to have an affidavit that states that whoever is giving you this income will agree to give you the income for the whole lease term. You can also do a notarized statement saying that whoever you're getting such and such from, they agree and they give you this amount of money a month, and you get that notarized, and that also works. So the difference between tax credits and conventional properties is most conventional properties, they have what you call a compliance department. And we have, tax credit has a compliance department as well, but they don't do as much work as on conventional. Conventional, you literally fill out the application, they send it off, they tell you if you're approved, they tell you what you need. The compliance department tells them everything to do. But with tax credit, we pretty much have to figure out the ins and outs And then once we have everything together, then we send it off for approval. And in some instance, we don't even have a compliance department. Like when I worked as a leasing agent for a tax credit property, I did not have a compliance department. I was the compliance department. So I was in charge of figuring out everything. And this is so important because when you have an audit and they come out and they review all your files, if all the information is not correct, then that's basically like a strike against you, and you can get in trouble for not having your files correct. So I think that's it. Oh, okay, one more thing that I'm gonna go over, and that would be maximum occupancy limits. And what this means is basically on a tax credit property, they have guidelines to where it can be so many people in a bedroom. So basically like 2 to a room. So if you have a 4-bedroom, you can't have 6 people in a 4-bedroom because it's 2 to a room. Now, you can get away with having 6 people, or you can get away with having 5 people if that 5th person is a newborn baby or is a toddler infant and they're under the age of 1. But once that child turns 1, then you would be out of guidelines and you would have to upgrade and get a 3-bedroom, if that makes sense to you guys. So in a 1-bedroom, you can have 3 people. In a 2-bedroom, you can have up to 5 people. And in a 3-bedroom, you can have up to 7 people. And then also I wanted to go over, there are different programs. Like some properties are HUD, which means that they only take the housing voucher. And then you have some properties that are tax credit, that are HUD, and that are market rate apartments. So anybody basically can live at these apartments. Let me see. I have more experience in tax credit, which like where they have percentages. So back to the income. This is a lot, y'all. It's kind of confusing, but back to income. Most tax credit properties have percentages. So they have a 30%, they have a 40%, they have a 50%, and they have a 60%. And depending on how much you make a year, this is how they determine how much your rent will be. And a lot of people call these income-based apartments, where your rent is basically based off of your income. But then you have tax credit, where it doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter how much you make a year, you'll still have the same rent. Everybody will have the same rent, if that makes sense. But say you can have a 3-bedroom apartment and you have 4 different families and they're all paying a different rate for that same 3-bedroom because of their income. If that makes more sense to y'all. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. This is I just kind of wanted to do like an introduction video to tax credit, just to see how well it does. If you guys like this type of content, if you like this kind of information. So if you have any questions or you didn't understand something I said and you want to know more about it, then you can always leave a comment. But I think that pretty much wraps it up. So I hope I covered everything for you guys. I hope everything made sense. And like I said, if you don't understand something, just drop a comment below and I got you, because I'm here for y'all. Like, whatever question you got, I got you. Thank y'all for watching. And always, stay blessed, never stressed.